Hi everybody, Anna K. Morris here with a quick coaching video for you. And I'm going to piggyback off of the last coaching video that I did. It's entitled, How to Change the People Around You. And I share a specific story of how my perception of my father changed radically, just like the veil was lifted. In the last video. So if you haven't watched that, I highly recommend that. It'll give a little bit more context because there was more to say in that video and I can't stop thinking about it, which tells me it's time to shoot another video. Because I want to be clear about something and I want to give you guys a distinction that of course showed up in my journaling, which if you are not somebody who journals, that's okay. I am going to be teaching a beginner's journaling class in January, but next week I'll be announcing something that I'm doing specifically for the holidays, specifically to help keep you feeling like you at the holidays in regards to all the excitement that the holidays is and the sadness and all of the it's just a highly emotional time. So I'm going to be launching something next week. So stay tuned for more information about that. But to today's coaching video. When you shift your perception, again, watch yesterday's video, How to Change the People Around You. When you change your perception of a person, I want to be really clear. Sorry, I'm getting alerts. I want to be really clear that it doesn't mean that you're condoning behavior that was hurtful or that was wrong, depending on the circumstance, right? So when I realized that my dad was doing the best he could, or, I mean, the same thing goes for my mother. There have been times that we've gotten along better than other times. My sister, right? We dance in and out of relationship. We'll talk a lot and then we won't. I mean, for a long period of time. And it's easy for me to say, I don't have a good relationship with that person, or that person is XYZ, a bad father, a bad sister, a bad mother, a bad boss, right? A bad partner, a bad husband, a bad ex-husband, whatever it is. It's very, very easy to make a blanket statement about the situation. And it doesn't mean that they didn't do bad things. It doesn't mean that there wasn't hurt there, right? But just because you do a bad thing doesn't mean you are a bad person. And I want you to really hear this. So if you're doing something else right now, stop and really listen, because I'm talking to you. When you sit in your chair and you point at somebody else and say that they're a bad guy, they're a bad girl, the person you're really saying that about is you. And that is very contradictory to what we believe, because we are very busy looking outside and judging. But when we look outside and judge, it can only come from first judging yourself inside. Everything that's happening in your world is only a reflection of your internal state. That's why I will say it's not an outside job, it's an inside job. My dad is exactly the way he's always been. He is 86 years old. He was a recovering alcoholic. He is now just an alcoholic who drinks. And I could say all kinds of things about him and what a bad dad is, right? And he could say all kinds of things about how I was a bad daughter. Except once I started doing the work inside and looking at myself and recognizing that, like, I have not made some good decisions along the way. And it came from a lack of love for myself. It came from a lack of knowing. It came from a lack of tools, training, whatever you want to call it, right? I was figuring things out. And I know about myself that I don't figure things out in a book. I figure them out by experiencing them. And most people do. That's why I coach people, right? Because it's only in the action that you can really understand yourself and you can really truly like learn and embody it. That's the yoga part that I love so much, and why I start every coaching, group that I do or private client that I work with, like with first getting in your body, right? Because it's about embodying our lives. So to say more about that, once I started to do the work inside, and I love, if you don't follow Allison Canavan, Canavan, I believe, follow her on Instagram. She did this post that was so good. I think it was a video actually about like your work is an inside job. It's not my dad's job to go over there and be what I would prescribe to him as a good dad, because my definition of a good dad is different than what my sister needed. It's different than what my brother needed. It's different than what you say is a good parent. Now, there are universal truths that we have of like not harming and whatnot. But for the most part, we have very different definitions. Some people would be like, let me like learn and figure things out by myself. And other people would be like, I want a lot of attention and I want you at all my games and all that kind of stuff. I was a swimmer. My dad went to swim meets. I don't remember. I think my mom, I don't have a great memory sometimes. But I can tell you, like, I don't know that it mattered to me that he showed up to my swim meets. It really matters that like we had meaningful conversations. So I'm not the kid that needs, that needed him at every single swim meet. My mom was there, so she filled that need. So maybe that's why I didn't need him there, because I knew she was going to be there, right? And that's very much the kind of relationship that my mom and I have. So just to land this a little bit better, again, you saying that somebody is good or bad is a direct reflection of you. And you forgiving somebody is your ability to forgive yourself. Now, that can be really hard to wrap your head around, because you will say to me, no, but they really did bad things. And I'm not disagreeing. People can do some really, really, really horrible, unthinkable things. And the only one you're punishing by not forgiving them is yourself. And again, I get it. That's a hard one to wrap your head around, except you will ultimately be the one who suffers if you keep judging them and making them the bad guy, right? Because what you're also doing is, when you are a part of something that was really bad as an adult, right? Not even as an adult. It's just the cards that you're dealt sometimes, right? And you're doing the best you can, and you're navigating something that is really challenging, and you're doing the best you can. And sometimes you wish that you could have done it differently. I think that it's really funny for people to think about, like, people that have success, right? I've had people say, like, positive things about my marriage, and like, well, you wouldn't really understand because like you have a really great marriage and a really great husband. Literally, when I went out with Derek, I was dating an alcoholic who had lost his job for going to work drunk. And when I have tried to break up with him, would threaten, like, in such a way that I didn't feel like I could break up with him and have him stay alive. So when people say to me like, oh, well, you know, that's not how it is for me. Like, this is how it is for me, but it, you know, you wouldn't get it because like, it's so good for you. I just want to be clear. It wasn't good for me at all. I did a lot of work, right? I was dating somebody else when I went out with Derek, and I went home and broke up with him the next day because I realized like that this is who I wanted to be with. Like, Derek was my person, and that was really automatic. You could say that that was a really shitty thing for me to do. He could easily say that I'm, you know, a liar or a fraud or whatever, except that's just the card those were the cards that I was dealt. Those were the choices that I made. I knew all along I didn't want to be with an alcoholic. But it was also a pattern, right? Because I had seen a lot of alcoholism in my life. So it's not a surprise to me that I would choose to be with somebody and then like want to help them and save them and whatnot. There's nothing wrong with that. And once I forgave myself about it, then the forgiveness for the other person is automatic, right? And you can start by forgiving the other person. But I have found that if I take a look at myself and I'm like, wow, that's really, you know, if I could go back and do that again, I'd probably do it again because I learned a really valuable lesson called, I don't want to deal with alcoholism in a relationship. That's not something that I can handle a lot. And that's not something that I want to relive. I've had enough of that in this lifetime. And so if somebody has that coming to the table, that's not going to work for me. And I'm not rude about it. I'm not a bitch about it. I'm just clear, right? And I'm really grateful for that experience because that experience taught me that that's a boundary that I don't want to cross. And so it's no surprise that of course that I don't even drink right now, and I probably will never again. And that feels really, really good for me. But that's been something that I've learned along the way. And I wouldn't have learned it if I hadn't made some missteps, if I hadn't been in a relationship that, you know, was really volatile. So to go back to the point of this, I have an amazing father. I have an amazing sister. I have an amazing mom. And it all, like, just because they are amazing doesn't mean that I like everything that's going on. Just because I like a lot of parts of myself doesn't mean that I like all parts of myself, right? There are parts that I don't really like, but there's love with all of it. There's love and compassion. So I just want you, as your journal prompt, this is the question. Where am I not giving myself compassion? What area of life am I not being compassionate with myself? And how is that impacting relationships in my life? Where am I judging other people? Where am I judging other people? That's where you're judging yourself. Okay. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow.